Are you bored with your education? Do you find yourself sitting in a lecture with 200 other people? Do you feel like you're learning great things, but you don't know how to apply them to the real world?
Well, then we have a program for you.
Come on in and check it out.
Guys, this is one of my favorite classes. We get to actually talk about all the good things we're doing and how we're applying our education to the real world.
Right, and I love my community placement, don't you?
I love mine. It's my favorite part of the week.
It's great. Farrell, which one are you at again?
I'm at the New York Civil Liberties Union. Where are you?
I'm at the Atlantic States Legal Foundation.
I'm at the Tech Garden.
Wow, that sounds really great. Can you tell me more about it?
It's really cool. The Tech Garden is a bureau of the Center State CEO, and we work with up and starting businesses, and we help them grow into something brand new. Right now, what I'm working on is connecting the nonprofit world to the business world through hackathons. They're like these events we put on to collaborate and come up with new innovative ideas to help solve societal problems.
You know, speaking of societal problems, how often do we just sit in class and you learn about all these theoretical ideas about the problems, and you learn about all the problems in the world, but where are the solutions? So at the Atlantic State Legal Foundation, we work on a small and a large scale. We have they're doing some projects in China, some projects in Romania, but also here local in Syracuse. And what I've been working on is this project to install and restore kind of a natural prairie grass habitat on the Onondaga Lake cleanup site.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so there's this Onondaga Lake, and for years it was flooded with chemicals from this power plant, right? There's this huge billion-dollar project to try to restore the lake and clean it up and make it so that people can swim in it. But because of that project, some of the contaminated soils were just basically taken out of the bottom with this giant crane and plopped over on the side.
Oh no.
So, I know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But we need to put a cover on that, and what we want to use are natural prairie grasses because one, they're really good to prevent soil erosion because their roots go deep into the ground. And two, we can use those grasses as a biofuel source and burn them to make energy, which is much cleaner burning than fossil fuels. Voila, a solution, you might say, not a salvation, that's not a word, a solution for global warming.
That's so interesting that you, as an undergraduate at Syracuse University, is able to take part in that big and cool project.
It's really amazing. Farrell, I bet you're participating in some big cool projects as well.
Yeah, right now I've been working on the Dignity for All Students Act, which is a law in New York State that's supposed to protect students from harassment and bullying in the K-12 environment. However, across the board, it's really not implemented consistently. So you have some schools that don't report at all, some schools that report way too much, some schools that report the wrong things. So that's really not conducive to protecting students and to really talking about what's going on in the schools. So what I've been doing is drawing up a document that brings together best practices and suggestions for how to improve implementation. And hopefully it's something that's going to go beyond just the Syracuse City School District and to New York State in general as well.
Now, in addition to kind of finding some of these solutions to maybe solve some of these problems, I've been making some really cool connections. The president of ASLF that I've been working with is this kind of like mix of an old professor and a grandpa, where he's very academic oriented and he's all about learning and everything, but he also goes off on these tangent stories and starts telling me all about the good old days. And last week when he was talking to this completely incompetent person who had no idea what she was talking about. So what kind of people have you guys met?
Well, I noticed in my first few weeks of my community placement, I shadowed the director of the New York Civil Liberties Union as she went about her daily responsibilities. And so I went to school board meetings, I went to anti-police brutality community organization meetings. I got to see her in a lot of different environments. And one thing I noticed was how in every environment she seemed to always have relationships with the community members. And so she knew exactly what was going on in their lives and what they'd been up to. And she was able to use those to really get to not just get to know them better, but to get to know the issues better. And when she didn't have those relationships, she would start building them right away. And that seemed to be really important to her job.
I felt a fairly similar thing at the Tech Garden. We're all about like building business relationships, but we also formed these business and nonprofit relationships through our tech events. With the Hunger and Hack tech event, we were able to bring together nonprofits working to solve issues of hunger and homelessness. And we brought together technologists, some who have experienced hunger and homelessness, and really brought them together to come up with a solution. At the event, we had so many people that were really motivated and passionate about the ideas. We came up with a panel of people, some technologists, some people, leaders in the community, and I got to meet all of them through my connection with Tony Kershaw, who's my supervisor.
Wow.
He knew all of these people, brought them together, and really created this educational panel for people before they started working on projects and coming up with solutions to really deeply be educated on the subject, which was really, really interesting.
So in addition to all these relationships and connections, they can help you in the future, but as important as connections are, you also are going to need some skills if you want to take our talents and our passion elsewhere in future endeavors, continuing in college and after college. So it's been really great in my placement, and we've learned, I learned some of these skills on how to write a proposal, how to kind of talk in formal language and get other businesses and corporations to kind of see our line of thinking. So I'm writing this proposal to Honeywell, who is heavily involved in the cleanup process at Onondaga Lake, and I'm basically trying to convince them why our idea of putting prairie grasses there for, one, to prevent soil erosion and to restore some natural habitat for some species. We have a lot of endangered bird species in New York, so that would help them out, but also for the biofuel aspect. So just kind of the skills and how nonprofits work with each other and work to get money and to get access to certain things so they can try to help these problems. I've been learning kind of how to navigate in that realm and what kind of language and these proposals that we need to succeed. So what kind of stuff have you guys been doing?
Skills are really important, and Tony often talks to me about how to build my professional skills and how to interact with people on a higher level than just what you see in the classroom. And I think Cece emulates that in the classroom as well. We talk to each other in a professional manner and bring up really insightful points. But he's all about presentation. He's all about just selling yourself in every aspect of your connections that you're making. So whether or not you're interested in the field that they're working in, building that connection on a professional level is one of the skills that he's taught me.
Wonderful. Yeah, I've been learning a ton about constitutional law and how that translates into our everyday lives. So we learn about the First Amendment, we learn about the Fourth Amendment, and it seems up here it's not very material, but in reality, those are the things that are keeping students from accessing their education, not following those constitutional laws. Those are the things that are keeping folks from succeeding economically in the community. So I'm really getting to see how that translates and what are the connections between the national law, the state law, the local laws, and local lives. So that's been really, really interesting. And also how to go about those interactions in a very similar way, building those relationships, but also knowing how to use them in the right way. Because there's only so much you can do with certain relationships before you've pushed too far. Yeah. And so by watching Barry, the director, go about just simple interactions to really important meetings, that's been a really great education as well.
As great as these organizations are, one of the other benefits of being in a position that we're in, I think, is to be able to look at them from a critical perspective and think, okay, what could be different about these organizations that would make them more effective, and how can we learn from that to strengthen organizations that we would work for or maybe that we would create in the future. So what kind of things do you think could be improved at your community placements?
We could always use more people at the New York Civil Liberties Union. It's a small nonprofit, so we only have one full-time staff member and one part-time staff member. A ton of volunteers, but you can always use more people, and by virtue of that, we need more funding. So those are, if I could improve it in one way, that would be it.
You would have a lot more money.
Mine is also a small nonprofit. We only have 6 or 7 full-time staff members. And I feel like, just from my personal, the way I function best, the atmosphere within the building and the way the building is structured, we talked about this before, but it's a little bit confining and it doesn't quite lend itself to creativity, at least in the way that creativity is stimulated for me. Where all the workers are kind of isolated, and there are 3 different floors and everyone is kind of on their own. They have their own room with the computer, and they talk in the staff meetings and stuff once a week, but there isn't a whole lot of communication. And I even noticed last week some kind of bickering between staff members, and one person saying, "Oh, well, you never told me about this, you need to communicate and stuff." I feel like that communication could be facilitated better if it was more of a traditional office setting where everyone's kind of on one floor and they have their desk, but they can see and talk to each other. So.
Really interesting. So the Tech Garden's a little bit different because it's a 501c6, so we're kind of business, kind of nonprofit feel. But I think one of the things I was talking to Tony as the Tech Garden is more involved in the nonprofit community moving forward is taking the new innovative business mentality of collaboration that the Tech Garden has set up and bringing that to the nonprofit world. Often we're very boxed in our own organizations and we fail to reach out and collaborate and really come together to form great solutions.
Wow, it sounds like we're learning a lot in our community placements that we wouldn't be able to get out of just a normal classroom setting.
It's true. Now, what do you think that your experiences have been influenced so much so that you maybe changed your idea of what a future career is going to be like?
Maybe. I'm really not sure what exactly it is I want to do, but I do know that I've had an amazing time at the New York Civil Liberties Union, and that advocacy is something that I want to incorporate into any career path that I choose.
Yeah, I was talking to President Samuel Sage just a couple days ago, and he was saying, kind of giving me some words of advice, and basically said that America isn't definitely not a perfect place, and we talk about the problems all the time, but he said that it's still a place where if you are in a good situation and you're passionate enough about something that you want to do it, you can probably get it done. So that was really kind of heartening, especially when we talk about in the political climate that we were in today and kind of the hopelessness that is surrounding politics, that there's still at least a voice advocating that, what the elementary school kids hear all the time from their teachers. It's like, if you want it, you can make it happen. So I'm taking that to heart, and I hope it's true, and I think I'll kind of use that advice and try to make a difference after college.
Definitely. I've had an amazing time at the Tech Garden, and I think through the CCE program and really getting a hands-on experience, being in a workplace, and understanding what that is and what that feels like, has definitely set up what I want to do in the future and what kind of setting works best for me. I've loved the Tech Garden. I've loved working one-on-one in close communication with so many people. And I think that collaboration is something I'll definitely look for in the workplace.
Wonderful.
Last question for you guys. I'm just wondering, what do you guys think? If someone else was going to do this program, what advice would you have for them?
I would say, don't be afraid to do something that might not be exactly what you imagined. I didn't go into the school year thinking that the New York Civil Liberties Union was somewhere that I wanted to potentially stay forever, and maybe it's not somewhere I want to stay forever, but it's opened up so many doors for me. So trying those new things, those maybe even uncomfortable things, that's what I would say.
I would say, such a hard question.
That is a hard question.
Because there's so many things about CCE that make it what it is. But definitely similar to Farrell, try a community placement that is something that might interest you, but you're not sure yet. It's a way to test the field. It's a way to see what it's all about. And I think that's what I did, and it was very successful for me.
Yeah, it's a great way to find that balance between stepping out of your comfort zone, but not going way too far out of your boundaries where you're panicking. So I think this program definitely allows you to do that. Well, guys, I'm so glad we had this little talk.
Me too.
I've learned so much, and makes me really excited about the Maxwell program. And I'm always excited, but even more so right now.
Right.
Totally.
Bye!
Bye!